Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're diving into a document that's honestly a total game changer. We're unpacking the strategic mission of a digital cooperative. You know, we hear so much about massive tech conglomerates these days, but what we're looking at right now, it's an incredibly ambitious goal to develop AI and digital solutions in a fundamentally cooperative, sustainable way. It's a total paradigm shift for tech, and we're going to break down exactly how this organization actually plans to pull the whole shebang off.
And really, it all boils down to this one massive puzzle. ¿Cómo transformar IA en bem común? Or how do we transform AI into a common good? It's so easy to just picture artificial intelligence as this strictly proprietary tool, right? Something locked away in a server farm by a tech giant. But the source material we're analyzing today flips that idea completely upside down. It's asking us to imagine AI not as a corporate asset, but as something that benefits all of us, kind of like a public park or a public library. Keep this question in the back of your mind as we go, because every strategic move we're about to cover is basically trying to answer it.
Let's jump straight into Section 1, the core mission. So let's read this primary mission statement together. It says, desenvolver soluções digitais e de inteligência artificial de forma cooperativa, transparente e sustentável, promovendo soberania tecnológica, valorização do trabalho humano e acesso democrático à tecnologia como bem comum. I mean, wow, this definitely isn't your standard Silicon Valley move fast and break things motto, is it? It's deliberately heavy. They aren't just saying, hey, let's build some software. They're making an active, serious commitment to technological sovereignty. They're saying the people who actually use the technology need to have a say in it. They're committing to democratic access, making sure this incredibly powerful AI doesn't just belong to the top 1%. In a market where massive AI models are usually locked behind ridiculously expensive enterprise paywalls, this mission is actively trying to break that monopoly.
Which brings us to Section 2, the 7 pillars.
Before we look at the whole list, I want to zoom in on two incredibly impactful phrases pulled right from the text: trabalho digno, decent work, and acesso democratic access. Look, when we talk about AI, the conversation almost always goes straight to automation, right? And unfortunately, replacing human labor. But here, the cooperative is putting the valorization of human work right at the center. It's a bold stance. They're insisting that technology has to elevate human labor, not just extract from it. Think about the real-world operational impact of this in today's market. This translates to building AI that acts as a co-pilot. Think of AI diagnostic tools that actively assist healthcare professionals rather than automated systems designed just to cut hospital jobs.
Now, let's look at how this builds into the complete picture. The mission statement connects 7 distinct pillars. We've got Tecnologia and AI as the core tools, then Cooperativism as the structural model. We have Sustentabilidade and Ambição Ética de Longo Prazo as the guiding philosophies. And finally, Trabalho Digno and Democratização do Acesso as the ultimate human outcomes. The real takeaway here? None of these can stand alone. It's like a giant puzzle. The cooperative model is exactly what allows the AI to be democratized, and that long-term ethical vision is what guarantees the work remains decent and sustainable. They literally hold each other up.
Moving on to Section 3, the language challenge.
We have this incredibly robust framework, but here is where the strategy gets really fascinating. I mean, it's one thing to have a brilliant mission on a whiteboard, but communicating it to the real world, that's the hard part. The authors put a super strict rule on drafting this text. Evitar linguagem excessivamente ideológica ou corporativa demais. Avoid excessively ideological or overly corporate language. Think about how tricky that is. If you lean too hard into words like cooperativism, you risk sounding overly ideological, which might scare off potential business partners who just want a solid software solution. But if you just use standard tech jargon, you sound totally corporate and completely lose the soul of those 7 pillars. You just become another software vendor. It's a massive balancing act.
Let's see how they tackle it in Section 4, the institutional vision. To solve this language dilemma, the source document actually proposes 2 different messaging strategies. First up, the institutional alternative. Construir um ecossistema cooperativo de soluções SaaS e IA sustentáveis, orientado pela transparência, pelo conhecimento aberto e pela valorização das pessoas e comunidades. Notice the pivot here? Suddenly we're seeing terms like SaaS, software as a service, and ecosystem. It's highly professional, it keeps the core values alive, transparency, open knowledge, valuing communities, but it wraps them in language that a corporate board or a government partner would totally get and feel comfortable with. Operationally, in the current market, this translates to very tangible things. We're talking about cloud storage solutions or data analytics platforms that are owned collectively by the users rather than rented from a massive tech monopoly. The source text breaks down the trade-offs perfectly here. The pros? It's much more corporate and, honestly, great for official institutional documents. It gets straight to the business of SaaS and AI. But check out the cons. It's definitely less emotional. It doesn't exactly stir the soul, you know? And maybe more importantly, it drops the explicit mention of technological sovereignty. By playing it safe with the language, you kind of sacrifice that revolutionary spark that makes the cooperative so unique in the first place.
So what's the other option? Section 5, the inspirational vision.
If the institutional route feels a little too dry, take a listen to this alternative. Transformar tecnologia em bem comum por meio de uma cooperativa digital global, sustentável e orientada ao desenvolvimento humano. Just wow, that is grand. There's zero mention of SaaS here. Instead, we are talking about transforming technology into a common good, building a global cooperative and focusing on actual human development. It aims straight for the heart and directly echoes that exact question we asked at the very beginning of this explainer.
But just like the first option, we've got trade-offs. The authors note the major pros here are a phenomenally strong philosophical identity, and it is absolutely excellente part of branding. This is the kind of mission that makes people want to join a movement, right? It draws in passionate talent. But the massive con? It is way less operationally concrete. If I'm an investor or a potential client reading this, sure, I'm inspired, but I actually might not know what product you're selling me. It's a classic tension, having a beautiful, emotionally resonant brand identity versus clearly explaining your day-to-day operations. Which brings us to a really provocative question to end on. How do we actually balance philosophical identity with operational clarity? The source document leaves us right at this strategic crossroads. A digital cooperative building AI for the common good is a beautiful, absolutely necessary idea, built solidly on those 7 vital pillars we discussed. But as we've seen from their own internal analysis, navigating this language puzzle, inspiring the world without sounding too corporate or too ideological, is going to ultimately define their future. They have to inspire us while still clearly selling the software they build. So how would you solve that puzzle? Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this framework today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.